Well, the markets are opening up, but we do not have a jobs report to talk about today. We usually get it the first Friday of the month, but because of the government shutdown, there is no jobs report. Mark Falter is joining us here to talk about that and more. Of course, you hear him on Retirement Income Hour, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock, Mid-American Wealth Advisory Group in Kansas City. All right, Mark, is there a grand conspiracy here behind all this, or is this just business as usual?
Oh, it's business as usual. We've seen this before. We will see it again. The government's shutting down.
Come on, I was hoping to get a great conspiracy out of you here. That's what I wanted, the hot take right out of the gates. But I'm with you, Mark. I was just, I was holding out hope for something really juicy.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Warren Buffett said it best, and that is when the government shuts down, we need to stop the paychecks of some of these Congress people, and let them shut down too. They keep getting paid. I'll tell you who really gets it rough is, in prior shutdowns, the military and guys like that are actually out there working. Not saying the Congress doesn't, but the point is they all need to suffer equally.
Well, you can say Congress doesn't. You're right. You're absolutely. And I was saying this all week. They shouldn't get paid during a shutdown. It's a joke that Congress gets paid during a shutdown.
Yeah, they decide to shut down, and then they keep getting paid. That's like back in the days of 1300s and before that, when the kings would make decisions that affected all the people, but not them.
Exactly right. I could not agree more. All right, so the markets. Generally, I was looking at some of this stuff historically. The markets have not really minded government shutdowns. So why is that?
I actually, frankly, don't think the markets care. And now, to be fair, if the government shut down and stayed shut down for a long period of time, but it's a lot like the tariffs we've had some tariffs though, but the tariffs really were as much threat as they were actual tariffing. And that was the art of the deal thing going on. But I don't think the markets expect this thing to be shut down very long because it's happened before the same way. And we never really go that long. No, we've gone a couple weeks before, but that's, I think, why the markets ultimately, the markets are kind of running. And it's, as I said before, man, I'll tell you what, I'm looking at things now with AI is driving the heck out of the market. And that's like a bunch of kids chasing a balloon at a party. It's great, but what are you going to do when you catch it? And it's one thing driving the markets, but that's not a solid market. And I would be reallocating if I were people right now.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where I want to take the conversation next with you, Mark Falter. The stock market, we talked a lot about this during the Biden years. The stock market and Wall Street is not Main Street. And the Trump administration, I think, has to be careful. They can't fall into the same trap that Biden did and just say, well, the markets. There still is pain on Main Street. And while, personally, this is me talking, I believe in what this administration is trying to do to help out Main Street. It's going to take time based on how the last few years have gone. So how do they balance that? Because it seems like the markets are doing great. It's up, 30% in the last 6 months? Right. We've never seen a bull market like this in 6 months from the April lows. And there still is a lot of economic pain. Inflation's still sticky, and there are problems. And now the job market appears to be softening. So how do you balance all this?
Step one, don't fire Jerome Powell. Really, I'll tell you, I think he's nuts if they get rid of that. We were talking about this 2 years ago. About the soft landing. I can't believe the stuff that guy has pulled off. And, he's the guy that's got the most history with this whole crazy economy. That would be the first step. And I'll tell you what, I think Trump needs to start backing off on the tariffs. The tariffs made a point. It's it's already driving the prices of stuff up, and it's ultimately going to end up affecting the farmer. And when the farmer gets affected, you have officially gone too far. And, and it's painful for that couple that's got 2 and 3 and 4 children at home that's making $70,000 to $150,000 a year. It's really hard on them because then they got to go borrow money for a house at 7%. Yeah.
Now I'm with you there. From the standpoint of how we need to look at this. However, one thing I will say, and I think you would agree, you and I have talked about these tariffs on and off for 6, 7, 8 months, and we haven't seen the full cost of the tariff be passed on to the consumer yet. So some may look at that and say, well, honestly, have the tariffs been that bad? If we haven't seen that cost passed on to the consumer yet, Or do you think it's just temporarily the middleman or the producer biting the bullet, and at some point they will pass that cost on?
Oh yeah, 100% they're going to pass that on. That's the problem. That's the problem, is that tariffs don't long term affect. Now short term they do, but long term they don't affect the country you've tariffed, because they're going to turn around and pass it right back on. And that's where it's ultimately going to go, and it's basically a tax to the consumer. Ultimately, you end up taxing the United States of America in an indirect way by doing it, because they just turn around. And a buddy of mine ended up going and buying was thinking about buying an exotic car. Dude, the tariff on that thing was $50,000 for the brand new version of it. And he said, "The heck with that," and he didn't. That's another car for that tariff. And now that's an extreme case, but the point is, yes, it's going to ultimately pass on. And I think, like I said, the farmers are running tight as it is. They don't need that. And then when they go to borrow money for a new tractor or a new piece of equipment, they got to borrow at 7 and 8%. I think Trump.
Yeah, but what is the evidence though that rates magically will just start coming down when the tariffs go away?
Yeah, we're hoping that the Fed's going to do another cut, and but I still don't think we're ever going to see rates like we saw here back 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're somewhat normal right now, and they're going to normalize probably in that 5% range and come down a little bit. But I don't think you're going to see I don't think they ever want to go back to zero.
Mm-hmm. How much is the market also a product of just a weakening dollar?
I think it is, and I think you're seeing that with the run-up in gold prices. People are starting to realize that hey, you can print money, but you can't print gold. And I guess technically, but the point is, you got only a certain amount of gold, and they're running to gold right now. Gold has gone up from $3,200 an ounce to almost $3,800 an ounce here just in the last 6-8 months, and I think it's going to continue to rise a little bit.
So really, this comes back to Congress having to figure out a way to get out from under this $37 trillion in debt. And, I mean, sad to say, I see no evidence to suggest that is anything that they care about or will be focusing on anytime soon.
No, you do realize that the big, beautiful bill added, or is going to add, $4 trillion to that. And this is what I've been telling my clients a lot, and this time of year we sit down and do tax reviews, not just tax returns in January, February, and March, but tax reviews, because people over the age of 65 need to be thinking about exchanging money to tax-free areas such as Roth conversions, because the runway got wider. I say it didn't get a lot longer; it got wider. You can get more money there, and but the problem with that is it's adding $4 trillion to the deficits. We're going to have taxes. There's about 100% chance taxes have got to go up. They got to go up at the end of this term.
Well, thanks for the good news, Mark Falter. I appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
I mean, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, but here's the thing. Like, if you're in a millennial or a Gen Zer, and that's where obviously I'm at, my generation's at. You got people under 40 just trying to raise a couple of kids. They want to buy a house one day. They also got to save for retirement, knowing full well that 3% may be the new 2% on inflation. I mean, $1 million is going to be chump change in 30 years. And, oh, by the way, taxes are eventually going to go up. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, and I've talked about this personally with a lot of people, Mark Falter. I'm not saying this is on you. I'm just saying in general. There's a real growing animosity amongst young people in this country under 40 towards the 60-plus, mostly baby boomer generation, who they feel like basically ruined the American dream. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just telling you the sentiment is out there. And when you hear about higher taxes, cost of living, no one can afford a home, on the right and the left, that sentiment is growing right now in America. And I think it sets up for a potentially dangerous political environment.
I agree. Now, I will give you some immediate advice for any young person listening that they can use today, and that is your 401k in almost every case. I have seen almost no cases that this doesn't work. You can set it up as a Roth 401k, and now you got a Roth IRA with super high limitations, super high You can get a lot of money into it. You can get the same amount of money into it that you can the traditional 401k. That's what I would be doing if I were them, because you need that tax. You're going to need that tax-free money. You're going to need that tax-free money because we know taxes got to go up. I mean, they got to go up. We couldn't handle the $36.7 trillion debt, and we're going to add $4 trillion more to it. They got to go up. And you know something now, I'll come back on that whole scenario with the that younger group, because a lot of my clients, almost all of my clients, have grandkids. Heck, I got 8 grandkids, and they say, oh, it's going to be so much more rough for them than it was for us. But here's the thing I have found. Not trying to get too far down this tangent, but I have found we're dealing with a different type of worker now than we were back 10 and 15 years ago. And I think any employer will tell you it's hard to find employees that show up and just work hard. And I really think, with that said, if you just show up and work hard, man, you're going to beat 90% of the competition. So, and you know, with AI, I think that's an area that they're also going to massively capitalize in. So I think there's as many benefits for the right person that really wants to buckle down as there are negatives.
I agree with that. That's a great way to end it, and an excellent point. I knew you'd come around on me, Mark Falter. Well done, my man. Excellent work as always. We'll be listening at 9 tomorrow.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Great job. Mark Falter, Mid-American Wealth Advisors here in Kansas City. His show, Retirement Income Hour, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9.